So, our next comic is tonight's headliner. She is an author, an actress, and comedian who is non-consensually from Connecticut. She enjoys smuggling Prosecco into AMC movie theaters, scaring her friends with road rage, and turning down Coke at parties, always the right decision. Give it up for tonight's headliner, Nina Dicker.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you so much. The turning down Coke is non-consensual. I am allergic.
Oh.
That's not a joke. That's just true medical information. My name is Nina Dicker. That is Dicker, like penis. It's my legal name. It's not a stage name. If you are mentally preparing yourself to hear jokes about my last name, you can actually just visit my YouTube channel and read every comment left by a man.
Oh.
A lot of people see me talk about my body and my sexuality online, and they think it's cool to call me a slut. I prefer to think of myself as a very competitive bisexual. The internet is a very intense place. People send me messages letting me know I have daddy issues, and they'll call what I do fatherless behavior. I just want to be clear that for me, that is absolutely true. When I was young, my dad traveled a lot for work, and I want to give credit where credit's due. For half the year, he was happy and he was present, but unfortunately, for the other half of the year, he had to live at home with us. My dad was obsessed with never spending any money. And I feel really lucky for growing up with such a frugal father. It taught me not to spend money on frivolous things like going out to eat, buying new clothes, going to the doctor when I got sick. And my dad also correctly understood that money is time, right? Which is probably why he didn't want to spend any time with me. Now, I don't know if this lack of attention from my dad had anything to do with, I don't know if it had any effect on my psyche, like the men online like to tell me. But I will say, in all of my alone time, I did develop what some might call an extreme fixation on sex. I would get home from school, and I'd spend approximately like 3 to 4 hours on Pornhub, and
Woo, Pornhub.
I saw everything. Straight, gay, the entire Scooby-Doo porno movie. Which, by the way, if you've ever seen it, amazing production value. Like, it should really be cool. But unfortunately, nobody taught me what incognito mode was. So my mom, I was just raw dogging the internet. My mom found all of the search history, like from the beginning, and she was mortified. She came like scuttling into my room, and she was just like, "Jesus Christ, Nina, you've been touching yourself to this crap?" And I was just like, "Mom, oh my God." I'm supposed to be touching myself? Like, I thought I was doing what all the other kids were doing. You know, building an Excel spreadsheet, mapping out the best sexual positions, dirty talk phrases, and stitches to moan at. Because apparently I've learned there is a huge difference between and So even though my childhood was complicated and mildly traumatic, I'm just feeling really lucky to be living in the least traumatic city in the world, Los Angeles, California. Moving to LA did start out pretty rough, but I feel like I'm finally coming into my own. This last year, I wrote and published my very first book. It's called Queen, True Stories of Childhood Misfortune and Meaningless Sex. And then this year, I actually pulled in 6 figures. Yeah, 2 of those figures are behind the decimal point.
Oh.
But I want to tell you this today, what time is it? This afternoon, I want to tell you the story that catapulted me to number 69 on Amazon's humorous erotica list. That's true, by the way. So by the time I was a freshman in high school, my dad and I were like constantly butting heads, always at each other's throats. And his favorite punishment was sending me to bed without any dinner, which really pissed me off because I love dinner. So I decided to lash out by doing that thing that we all do. You guys can say it with me. Banging the emo kid in the class above me. I was going to do anyways, but now I had a fantastic excuse. This kid worked part-time at the local Planned Parenthood, which was so hot. Because you could get me discounts on abortions. I'm assuming. He also didn't live that far away, which was super convenient. I could just hop on my like dumpster bike and ride right over. Dumpster bike. I called it dumpster bike because I'd asked my dad for a bike, and he had told me the only bike that he could afford was the one from the town dump that he picked up. And I was pretty skeptical about that, but as soon as he hosed it off, I was like, "Goddamn, baby, mama's gonna." So I rolled on up to Emo Boy's place, which was empty because his parents neglected him, which was also so hot because that meant he wanted my attention that much more. And so as we're making out of his back pocket, he pulls out a packet of tangerine scented lube that he lifted from the Planned Parenthood that he works at. And at this point, I'm just confused because like I'm 14, like I'm aroused by a slight gust of wind and a poorly drawn cartoon character. So it's like, you know, but I'm also a people pleaser. So I decided not to let him in on the fact that I was indeed a homemade indoor water slide. So this literal child proceeds to squeeze the entire packet of lube into his hand. Right. And I'm not talking like a soy sauce sized packet. I mean like white sauce from Halal Guys sized packet. Yeah, like fun for the whole family. So at this point, his hand is overflowing with lube. So he scoops half the lube into my hand. So now he and I both have fistfuls of lube. And so he just starts taking his fistful of lube and he starts lathering it all over his member. And then, no, I'm not done. And then we both proceed to stretch the condom over the lubed up queen. And then he proceeds to put more lube on the outside. The only way I can describe the look and texture of this man's illusion is like, do you guys remember the 90s? Like there was a toy and it was like this, stick with me. It was filled with oil and glitter and it was squishy.
Yeah.
This was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Does anyone remember what those were called? I was like trying to find it. I finally found it. All I had to do was Google baby's first pocket pussy and it popped right up. In case anyone wants one. Don't forget, at this point, I still have a fistful of lube. So at this point, I'm like, you know, scooping it into every fold, just like turning all the pages But I still have so much lube, so I just start wiping it on my abdomen and my chest and then my arms for some reason. And so at this point, I'm like full body slugging, just like ready for penetration. And so this guy takes his. Hold on, I'm going to demonstrate. This guy takes his bean and cheese burrito, and he just, but because you get it. And, he lines it up, gives one thrust, gets it about halfway, and then he gives one more thrust, and then he goes, "Ow!" and he rolls over. And then he almost immediately gets up and he starts to rest. And then he comes over and he looks down at me, a slip and fall victim, and he just looks at me and he goes, I'm gonna go for a jog, so I can't stay here. Like, okay, here's the thing. At this point in my life, I thought that in order to make people stay, you had to please them. Like, you had to put their pleasure over your own. And I pleased this guy. I was 100% positive I'd given this child the best sexual thrill of his life. And for anyone joining the live just now, I am also a child. Just want to make sure that was clear with both children. I was sure I'd given him the best sexual thrill of his life. But he was still leaving me as I am cosplaying a sexually disappointed eel. And so I'm, just like absolutely devastated. His words are like ringing in my ears as I'm riding my dump bike home. I'm just humiliated. And I'm just not paying attention. And I ride directly into a pit of gravel. And just by show of hands, has anyone ever tried to open a door with lubey hands? Yeah, the brakes were not applied. Handlebars slipped right out of my hands. I went down so hard. It was so bad. My knee, like my entire left knee, torn to shreds. There was blood in my shoe.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like my knee was more wet than I was, which was saying a lot. And so I managed to limp home with my dump bike, which was fine, indestructible. And I get into the bathroom, and as I'm in the bathroom, I guess picking gravel out of my meniscus, I hear footsteps down the hall. They are getting closer and closer, and then my dad busts in the bathroom door, and he looks at me and he goes, "Nina, oh my God, are you stupid? You got blood all over the floor." Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. I only got it on the linoleum. I didn't get it on the carpet. I'm not a fucking animal. Also, I did neglect to tell him it was blood mixed with lube. That would have. And he was like, "You're gonna have to clean that up." And I was like, I wasn't just gonna leave it there. Like, he raised me. But I was like, I will do that. But also, I think I can see bone. This looks really bad. I think I need to see a doctor. And my dad walks in a little closer and he looks at me and he goes, oh my God. Okay. Do you have doctor money? Please. So I'm standing in my shower, rubbing dollar store shampoo into my patella. Still thinking about what this boy said to me. So humiliated. Which at this point, I had to have looked like one of those baby propaganda ducks that have been caught. The ones that have been caught in the oil spill, from those Dawn soap commercials. Because what this boy had neglected to also tell me was that this lube was silicone lube. Silicone lube is oil based, so it lasts approximately 7,000 to 8,000 years.
Oh, no.
And so there was this weird. The only thing distracting me from my torn up knee was this like very strange, very specific citrus smell that I like couldn't quite figure out where it was coming from because I'd already scrubbed off the first 10 layers of my skin. And so as I'm bending over to pick up more soap, I catch a whiff and I realize that the tangerine scent had absorbed itself. The soul of my uterus.
Oh, no.
My vagina smelled like an orange bukkake. It was like a Tangelo gangbang up in my fallopian tube. It was so bad that the next day, 24 hours later, I am just like sitting in English class like a normal bisexual person. And my English teacher comes in and he walks up next to my desk and he stops and he goes, "Oh, who brought a Clementine to class?" At this point, I was so sure my kids were going to come out citrus scented. But I will say the scent did fade eventually, but not my inclination to people please to a fault. I actually, 5 years later, I actually gave this guy a second chance. I know what you're thinking. Shut up. I gave him a second chance. I bought us a hotel room with my own money in which to do coitus. And during missionary, he burped in my face.
Oh.
And it was not tangerine scented. Thank you so much. That's my time. My name is Nina Dicker.
Yay, give it up to Nina. Oh my God. I feel like we've like as a group bonded collectively over this. We've like had a shared traumatic experience that we will now take with us forever. Thank you, Nina, for making the rest of us so much closer than ever before.